If somebody had told me these 21 things that I'm going to talk about today before I started playing Valorant, my competitive journey would have undeniably progressed way faster than it did. I'm not gonna waste any more time, let's get into today's video. Starting off, I wish somebody had told me that having a super light mouse grip makes it so much easier to be consistent when aiming. Now, this was very much a me problem in my beginning days of Valorant, because for some reason my aim was very shaky and I couldn't seem to fix it. I did hours of research trying to find the answer as to why my aim couldn't just be smooth and consistent. And after being lucky enough to have a few chats with some respected people in the aiming community, they recommended that I started playing with a way lighter grip when aiming. And after only a few days of practice, my shakiness problem was completely gone and my aim improved faster than ever before. Now, of course, some players tense their hand a lot when playing and see tremendous success. So if you're able to be consistent when tensing, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. However, if you are like me and struggle with shaky aim when you tense your hand, try playing with a mouse grip as light as a feather. And trust me, your aim will become way more consistent. Next up, another thing that took me embarrassingly long to realize is that it doesn't matter how you win as long as you do. You see, in the beginning of me grinding Valorant, I thought it was so unbelievably cringe when players were playing post-plant lineups behind a wall to secure round wins. And because I thought it was cringe, I wouldn't learn a single lineup until I had played hundreds of hours of the game. When looking back, this was so unbelievably stupid, since I played Valorant with one goal in mind, and that was reaching Immortal as quickly as possible. Me not learning lineups probably caused me to lose multiple matches that I shouldn't have lost. And over time, this ended with me playing against worse players than I potentially could, which again meant that the practice was of a lower quality as a whole, compared to if I had just played those cringe lineups. Moving on, I gotta touch on downloading ExitLag for lower ping and better FPS. I live on a farm and my ping is seriously terrible out here. So using a software like ExitLag helps the game not only become way more responsive and easy in terms of me playing on better ping, but it also becomes much more fun. To download ExitLag, go to the first link in the description below. Head to the top of the website and hit the download button. And when you're on this page, press the big button that says download ExitLag. Once ExitLag has finished downloading, go through with the installation process. When that's finished, ExitLag will open up and you'll have to make an account. To do that, press the register button. Type in your name and email and make a strong password. After that, log in to your account on the ExitLag software. As soon as that's done, you'll have the option to optimize over 2,000 different games. But in our case, we want to optimize Valorant. To do that, simply press the optimize game button, find Valorant, and press apply routes. For me, the automatic choice ExitLag recommends works perfectly, and it will for most of you as well. However, if you want, you can also click in on where it says server and use their manual choice option, where you can connect to, for example, Europe and one of the Frankfurt servers if that's the best fit for you. Without ExitLag, I play on around 60 ping, and with it, I have the ping I play on. Right now, by using my link, you'll get 50% off an annual subscription to ExitLag, which means it costs nothing more than $4.99 a month. Consider checking it out. And thank you so much to ExitLag for sponsoring today's video. Circling back to the video, something I truly wish somebody had told me when I started playing was that you can't expect anyone else to carry. Now, this is something I touched on in my last video as well, but it's genuinely the most important tip you'll ever hear to improve and rank up faster in Valorant. I remember when I first hit Diamond, I had this thought that the players I played with would be somewhat good. So I often filled agents out of respect for the others on the team wanting to play a duelist. This resulted in me playing Smokes, a Sentinel, or an Initiator. And extremely stupidly, I would expect my Jet, Reyna, or Neon to top frag and carry the team. I would often also find myself getting frustrated when those players didn't perform. It was actually so bad to the point where I know for a fact that my frustration in my team held me back from playing to my actual peak ability. But then one day I got on and I understood that I need to have the mentality that I'm going to carry every single game. It doesn't matter if I play Sage or Jet, I will be at the top of the leaderboards, and that's okay. Obviously, many games I ended up not being at the top of the leaderboards, and someone else on my team played incredibly. And when that happened, I looked at that as a massive bonus. When my duelists were playing super bad and I was top fragging, instead of being frustrated at them, I tried hyping them up when they did something good. And when they failed, say, an easy 1v1, I said something along the lines of unfortunate. Not blaming my teammates when I solo queued to Immortal made the entire journey there 10 times easier, because I rarely ever got anyone who threw the game on purpose, and the team spirit was actually quite high in most of my games. So if you're someone who goes into matches without the mentality that you're going to be the carry, try changing that in all your upcoming games. And I can almost guarantee that you will rank up faster than ever before. Moving on, we gotta talk about players who give up when they're down a lot of rounds. For example, 9-3 or 10-2. When brutal games like these happened, the first 100 or so hours I played, I would also give up and sometimes even troll the game and just try to get out of it as soon as was possible, because I saw no opportunity at all to come back. However, one day it struck me when I was down at 10-2.5 that I had spent almost 20 minutes on that match. Was I really gonna spend 20 minutes of my valuable time just to not even try to make a comeback? Do I seriously have that much time to waste? And the answer to those questions were, of course, no. So when we were down at 10-2, I tried hyping my team up, saying things like, let's at least do our best in the pistol and take it from there. Or something along the lines of, it would be funny to come back this game, let's just try. Of course, very often the team would be demotivated and not exactly try their hearts out. But occasionally, a small sentence of encouragement actually made insane comebacks possible. And I promise you, I have won tens of games that I would never have won if I had the mentality I had in my first 100 hours of grinding. Another thing that I realized way too late in my Valorant journey is that you must always expect yourself to win clutches, even if it's 1000% delusional. I remember when I was left in 1v5 clutches especially, I would for the longest time either just try to save or almost just give up because I couldn't see myself ever realistically winning them. Now, don't get me wrong, saving if you have the opportunity in a 1v5 is objectively speaking a good play. But if you want to win more clutches, it's crucial that you genuinely think you can win even the situations that look totally impossible. You see, when you think you can win a clutch, for example a 1v5 clutch, your brain starts actively thinking of how you're going to do it, how you should get that first kill, what you should do after, and so forth. Whereas if you don't genuinely think you can win it, a lot of the time you won't even think about how you're going to get that first kill. And as a result of that, you definitely won't win the clutch. This applies for all clutches, 1v1s, 1v5s, and everything in between. If you want to become a good Valorant player, you need to trust the only player you're going to play every single one of your matches with, namely yourself. And on a very similar topic, it's also totally critical that you trust what your brain is telling you and not what your teammates are telling you. Let me give you an example. You're left in a 1v2 post-plant clutch, and you've just planted a spike a few seconds ago. One of your teammates is telling you in voice chat that you should play it super slowly and hide. However, in your mind, you have an amazing feeling about taking a duel against a player you heard who's approaching you shortly. This situation can be extremely tough. Should you listen to your teammate's call, or should you trust what your intuition is telling you? If you trust yourself and do the opposite of what your teammate is telling you to do and lose, your teammate might get super mad at you. But if you trust your teammate, you're not trusting the only player you're going to be playing 100% of your ranked matches with. So of course, the answer here is that you absolutely must trust what your intuition or gut feeling is telling you to do. You see, improving your intuition is actually a skill in Valorant. You could also refer to your intuition as your game sense in a way, though it's not totally the same. And the more you trust what your own mind is telling you to do, the better your intuition becomes. If you one day trust your intuition always, and the next day you exclusively listen to your teammates, your intuition will not improve. And your ability to win clutches will not improve at all either. Being somewhat good at clutches is crucial if you want to reach the highest ranks in Valorant, as not only do you secure an extra round win, but you also steal a round from the enemy team, coupled with the fact that clutches often lead to the enemy team getting a significantly worse mentality for the rounds following your clutch. So in short, when you're in clutches, listen to yourself. Don't be scared of not doing what your team is telling you to do. This is really important to learn and be comfortable with. On a totally different topic, I wish I understood that my bad games don't define my skill level. My good ones do. How many times have you finished a terrible game, queued into another, and had the thought that I need to play this game totally differently? I can't bottom frag again. Well, that happened to me countless times. I felt like when I had a bad first game of the day, my entire day was just bad. And this could often be after I had an insane day prior. I couldn't wrap my head around how I could be so good one day and so impressively bad another. But then I realized that I would queue into my second game on the bad day with the identity of a terrible player, someone who doesn't belong in the rank I was in. The day prior, however, I had the identity of someone insane at the game, someone who deserved a higher rank. Maybe this sounds crazy, but after a bad first game, after realizing this, I would gaslight myself into having the mentality that I was someone who was insane at the game and someone who deserved a higher rank. Believe it or not, this was the single most effective strategy to go from having an awful game to a superbly good one. Moving on, I wish somebody had told me that you need to warm up before you hop into ranked. You need to always warm up before queuing in, no exception ever. Now, when I grind Valorant, my goal is always to reach the highest rank I possibly can. Reaching the highest ranks in Valorant gives me an immense feeling of mastery, and that is what I chase when grinding. But if you're not playing to reach the highest ranks and rather just playing for fun, but trying to get a little bit good, then of course you don't have to warm up every single time before hopping into ranked. However, if you want to rank up extremely fast and actually reach the highest ranks, you do. Here's the thing. When you warm up, you become more consistent, no doubt about it. That extra layer of consistency can cause you to win a round you wouldn't have won if you didn't warm up. And that round can be the difference between winning and losing. When you win a lot of matches, you get matched against better and better players, meaning the quality of practice becomes higher. And as a result, your improvement will also be way faster compared to if you lose a lot of matches. Warming up, being as consistent as you can, and playing better and better opponents will over time compound into your individual skill becoming exponentially much higher, compared to if you never warm up. The simple warm-up routine I did was playing 2 or 3 DMs. That's pretty much it. Sometimes I would change it up and do 1 normal DM and then 1 or 2 team DMs. You can feel when you're warmed up and ready. That's when you start grinding ranked. Something else that made my improvement insanely much faster was always finishing outside tasks before grinding Valorant. This may sound like such a stupid tip, but please hear me out, because this will make the quality of your practice infinitely much higher, and your improvement will be significantly faster if you follow this tip. Let's say you go to school and you have a huge assignment you need to finish up in 2 days, but instead of working on that, you sit down and play ranked. When playing ranked, your focus is split between the game and the stress of knowing that you should spend your time on finishing the assignment. When you're not fully locked in, you don't play anywhere near the peak of your actual skill level, and the amount you learn from those games is extremely minimal compared to what it can be if you had just eliminated every distraction in terms of other things you know you should spend your time on. Other outside tasks can be that you should be cleaning, running an errand for your family, get a workout, call someone, send a mail to someone. The list is endless of potential outside tasks that can steal your focus. So the next time before you sit down to grind, to the best of your ability, make sure you try your best to finish up outside tasks beforehand. It will make you play better and improve faster. This is an important one, guys. Next up, something I had an embarrassingly hard time understanding is how consistently trying to make duels as easy as possible is the best way to go about things in terms of improving as fast as humanly possible. When you're playing ranked with your people, you may want to try to impress them by making a play that looks flashy and cool when they spectate you. But in terms of improvement, this is almost the worst thing you can do. You see, if you make plays that are genuinely non-replicable, you won't really improve anything other than getting a tiny bit of improvement from that 1 rep of aiming. Whereas if you take duels that are easily replicable time and time again in the future, you practice something that is actually useful and will long-term be beneficial to your individual skill. So what I learned was that when I was left in a situation, saying the words, "How can I make this as easy as possible?" literally made me an infinitely better player compared to what I had been before, when I often tried to make things as complicated as possible. That wasn't my best explanation ever, but all you need to know is that I strongly recommend having the mentality that you want to make your duels as easy as possible, because over time you'll find yourself in pretty much the same situation again and again, and having a lot of repetitions of those situations will of course make you way more likely to succeed. So try having the words, "How can I make this as easy as possible?" in your mind the next time you take duels in ranked, and I genuinely think you'll see way more success than without it. Now, another thing that helped me out tremendously was understanding the mentality of playing to your weaknesses when practicing, but to your strengths in ranked. I had a major problem in pistol rounds for the longest time. For some reason, I just sucked in pistols, and it was without a shadow of a doubt my biggest weakness. Then, one day, I understood that I needed to really get to work and do something about it. So that day, I started grinding DMs with Ghost only. It wasn't exactly the most fun thing I've ever done, but the feeling of improvement after having played an unhealthy amount of deathmatches made it all worth it. I also went on YouTube and searched up countless guides on how to become better in pistols to see if there was anything I had missed. Then one day, I got on, warmed up, and jumped into ranked. I played the pistol, and it honestly felt super good, almost like it was a strength I had. And as weeks went on, it turned out that I actually did manage to get rid of my weakness of being totally terrible in pistols. So find your weaknesses, isolate them, and work hard to get them up to par with your other high-level attributes. A balanced skill set will make you skyrocket up the ranks. Coming in next, I need to touch on understanding that a good play can go wrong. A lot of the time when grinding, you'll make a play, go down, and potentially think that play was bad due to the fact that you went down. However, this is not always the truth. You can make an amazing play and still die, and that is really important to realize. Because if you play Kaio, for example, flash an angle and peek perfectly after the flash has popped, and the opponent is 100% blind but still one-tap you, you can't think that play is bad. Because if you do, you might subconsciously subconsciously make yourself hesitate the next time you want to go for that clean play again. Our goal when playing Valorant is making objectively good decisions time and time again, and sometimes when we die, we still made a good decision. And if you can recognize that even when you die, you'll improve faster than most, because this is something that very few people are able to recognize. It is important for me to note though that most of the time when we die in a round, it is because of a mistake. So still, be very honest with yourself to the point where you figure out why you went down, so that you can try your best to limit that or those mistakes in the future. On a very similar topic, I truly wish somebody had told me that timing is a skill. When I first began my Valorant journey, I would blame me going down in rounds on unlucky timing. But what I came to realize was that mastering timing is truly one of the best attributes you can have. In Valorant, timing in a way is everything. How fast you rotate to a site when playing defenders, and you can tell that your teammates are having trouble. How you're able to switch from playing slowly to super fast, or the other way around. Or understanding when the right time is to peak after you've heard that your opponent tapped a spike in a 1v1. If you have the mentality that timing is a skill on the same level as practicing your aim, you'll become someone incredibly annoying to play against, who can consistently win important rounds from the fact that you have top tier timing. The way you practice it is simply thinking about it when left in situations that require good timing to succeed. Situations like after plants, retakes, or clutches. Think about it. In every round, there is a best time to make certain plays. If you can develop an understanding as to when that is, you'll go far in this game. Moving on, the mentality of instantly thinking about what you could have done differently when dying in a round is a winner when it comes to ranking up fast and becoming a good individual player. A lot of people will go down in a round and not think anything of them going down. Maybe they'll even think they got unlucky or get frustrated at a teammate. But if you want to improve as fast as humanly possible, you need to always blame yourself for going down and try to find something else you could have done to see success in that round instead of dying. Now, I truly wish somebody had told me that this is the mentality you must have every single time you go down, no exceptions ever. The reason this is so crucial is because if you do this, you'll extract major amounts of improvement from your deaths, because you actively think about other plays that might have been better. That means you're infinitely more likely to make another better play the next time you're in a similar situation. On the other side, if you never think about what you could have done differently and better, you'll make the same mistakes time and time again and improve at snail speeds compared to the players who have adapted this mentality. So this right here is extremely important if you want to rank up and improve fast, guys. This next one is extremely obvious, and that is finding weaknesses in the teams you're playing against. Even though this is obvious, it's seriously a hack to secure more rounds. Let me give you an easy example. Let's say you're playing on Lotus as attackers, and on C there is an opponent that has a terrible game. I mean, so bad to the point where you know that guy can't hit a shot to save his life. On A, there are 3 insanely solid players that have performed well the entire game, and on B, there's another pretty solid player. If that is the opponent's team setup, then rushing C is an objectively good play that will probably work. This, of course, is an extremely simplified example, but very often thinking like this can win you easy rounds, and at the end of the day, that is what we're playing to do. So if you haven't actively thought like this when playing your last few ranked matches, try it in the ones you have coming up and see if it makes winning games any easier, because from personal experience, it can make all the difference in the world. Another thing I truly wish I knew sooner is how repetitions is what makes us improve, not the time we spend on the game. If you want to become good at aiming with a Vandal, for example, being on the PC for 8 hours a day grinding ranked isn't what's gonna make you become a demon aimer. It's the amount of repetitions you get from those 8 hours that will determine how good you become. So to put it simply, if you have 8 hours and get in, say, 360 successful repetitions of shooting with the Vandal, that is a decent amount of repetitions to get in a single day to improve your shooting. However, if you're someone who wants to become good and you only have 4 hours to grind every day, you might want to play loads of deathmatch instead of exclusively playing ranked. And the reason for that is that you can finish a DM in about 7 minutes, and in that DM you'll probably get around 30 successful reps of aiming with the Vandal on average if you lock in. So very simply put it, if you play 4 hours of deathmatch one day with an average length of 7 minutes and 30 successful reps of aiming with the Vandal, you'll get in 1,020 repetitions of practice on that day, even though you only played half of what the other player did. Naturally, the quality of the repetitions in deathmatch won't be as good as in ranked, but it is surprisingly close. The sooner you realize this, the faster you can improve. It's seriously one of the most important things to understand if you want to improve faster than most. I also do want to note that I'm of course not saying that you should only grind deathmatch and not ranked, but if you find that your shooting is holding you back a lot, then you should spend quite a lot of time on just getting in reps grinding DM. Coming in next on a bit of the same topic, we have recording yourself playing and watching it back. A lot of people will say say that you should record your ranked games and watch them back. This is great advice. However, when I grind, I also really enjoy recording some DMs here and there and having a look at them, because it can genuinely tell you so much about your actual weaknesses as a player. Maybe you find your movement is terrible, that your pre-aiming is impressively bad, or that your trigger discipline is that of a much lower ranked player than yourself. When it comes to shooting fundamentals, you can learn a ton from watching DMs, and it's something I really recommend. When it comes to ranked, you watch back games more to get a different view on the strategic aspect of the game. Maybe you missed a smart play you could have made earlier, maybe you should have smoked somewhere when you didn't, or maybe you should have asked your teammate to do something for you, but you didn't. There is so much to be learned from watching back both DMs and ranked matches, and the beauty of it is that you can literally watch back games when you're queuing into another match, so that you don't waste any time at all. We're almost done with the video now, but I have 3 more things I need to tell you guys before we part ways. And the first of those is that you can't be scared to claim space when attacking. A lot of the time when you're attacking, especially in the lower ranks, you'll get the site and your teammates will tell you to play safe and wait for the opponents to push you. But when you get up to the higher ranks, you'll understand that in order to play post plants at an actual high level, you need to be comfortable claiming serious amounts of space. The absolute best time to claim space, with almost no exception, is right after you've successfully entered the site. This is when the opponents are rotating from the other side of the map, and you can place yourself on a seriously good off angle if you're confident and fast at claiming space. Especially if you're playing a duelist, you need to be comfortable claiming space, regardless of what your team is telling you. Mastering this skill alone will help you win so many more rounds, it's ridiculous. So think about this the next time you queue into a ranked game. The second to last thing I wish I knew sooner would have been the benefit of having a duo partner who hypes you up. Having a duo like this, compared to someone who gets mad at you when you lose a situation, never tells you nice try and so forth, is a serious game changer when it comes to truly ranking up quickly. The kind of person I try to be is someone who hypes up my team when they do something nice, and I want to be the guy who says unfortunate when they drone out completely and lose something they shouldn't have. This way of thinking about the game is better in every way. So if you're not already thinking like this, then I strongly recommend you try to adapt it. And if you on top of that can find a duo partner with the same way of thinking, you've won. To make things a little bit more interesting for this final thing, I need to share one tip right now regarding what you can do outside of the game to instantly become much better at Valorant. And that is to enable something called XMP for Intel-oriented motherboards, or DOCP for AMD-oriented motherboards. XMP is a setting that allows your RAM to run at its actual full speed, and when you turn it on, it feels like you have zero input delay at all, and your game is insanely responsive. It's in 99 out of 100 scenarios totally safe to turn on, although it is classified as an overclock. There are a few exceptions to this for older PCs. However, if you have a medium to high range PC from the last few years, XMP is a setting that you absolutely must have on. It will make your FPS a ton better, your input delay will feel non-existent, and enabling the setting will essentially make you a few percentage points better instantly. To turn it on, we first want to hit our Windows button and R at the same time. Type in msinfo32 and hit enter. When a window opens up, you want to make your way down to baseboard manufacturer. Right here you can see it says Asus for me. For you, it might say something along the lines of Microstar International, which is the full name for the brand MSI. You might have a Gigabyte motherboard, NZXT, or it might be a totally different brand. What I recommend when you find the brand of motherboard you have is to search up on YouTube how to turn on XMP with an MSI motherboard, if you have an MSI one, and so forth. However, I will go over how to generally speaking turn on XMP right now. So chances are high you'll understand how to do it from my simple tutorial, although we might not have the exact same setup for our BIOS. To turn on XMP, we need to turn off our PC. Once the computer is fully shut down, we want to go ahead and turn it on again. While it boots, we want to spam click our F2 or delete buttons. It can also be buttons like F10, F12, or escape, but rarely. Most of the time when the computer boots, it will also tell you what hotkey gets you into the BIOS. When you've successfully spammed your F2 or delete button whilst your computer is booting up, you'll be met with this menu that truthfully looks a bit scary. But do not worry. Although it looks scary, it is almost impossible to do something that can harm your PC accidentally. For me, turning on XMP is super easy, as on the left hand side here it says XMP and then disabled. All I have to do is click where it says disabled and change it to enabled. Then press F10 to save and exit. For you, turning on XMP might be done by changing your XMP profile to profile 1 instead of enabled. You might also have to access advanced mode instead of easy mode like I had it on. Advanced mode is most of the time accessed by pressing pressing either F7, double tapping F8, or tapping A. Once you find XMP and have saved and exited the BIOS, your PC will boot and your RAM will be set to full speed. This will result in an incredible performance increase and the game will be much easier to play. Lastly here, I do need to note that not every computer has the ability to enable XMP. This is most of the time because of cheap motherboards, cheap RAM sticks, pre-built computers by major brands like HP, Dell, Lenovo, you name it, or it is because you play on a laptop. Almost no laptops have the option to turn on XMP. If you feel as though your game is spiking super hard after having turned on XMP, it is because of the setting. It's the only thing throughout this entire video that has the chance to do that for you. So if that's the case, follow the same procedure we talked about just seconds ago and disable it again. It won't have any negative permanent effect on your computer. Thank you guys so much for watching and consider checking out ExitLag in the description below. It's seriously impressive software. Appreciate you guys.